My today's guest is Matthias Langer. He's tax advisor and partner of Actus AG here in Liechtenstein. He's advising blockchain companies and individuals since 2017 when it comes to blockchain and taxes. We will learn more how to declare your income when it comes to blockchain, and we will also learn why a tax advisor hires software developers and how crucial it is to have legal certainty not only in the legal world but also in the tax world in Liechtenstein. I'm really looking forward to our today's talk. Welcome to Coffee from the Block from the House of Blockchain in Liechtenstein. My today's guest is Matthias Langer. He is partner and tax advisor with Actus AG. Matthias, it was quite a while ago when we for the first time met, and I asked you, you were a young tax advisor, so to say, I was a young lawyer, and we had the first client, and I asked him if he considered the tax situation. And you were brave enough to start helping my client to think about the tax situation. And how did this then develop? And was it all clear from a tax perspective?
First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity in these days to be part of this topic and to be part of this team. Now, it was also a very new topic for us, the blockchain technology and how to treat under the tax law this topic. And we have to look, okay, what can we do in comparison? So what does blockchain is? How can we compare it with the old stuff? Because the tax law is nearly 100 years old, and we have to solve problems from the 21st century with the tax code, which is 100 years old, and it was quite challenging. But in the tax law, always substance over form is relevant. And therefore, it's not important for us that it's a token or that's a blockchain. We always have to look what is behind.
So, and that's my experience as well. Taxes were pretty clear from the beginning. It was not that you don't have to pay any taxes. I mean, some people think that if they don't look at the tax laws, they might just end up with paying no taxes because nobody will discover that they have any crypto. I think that's very short-term strategy, so to speak, because in the end, sooner or later, you will
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes, that's life certainties. And but it was pretty clear, I think. In Liechtenstein, I saw a review or a paper of one of the big four consulting firms, which concluded that and it was actually quite interesting that they didn't look at how much taxes you have to pay. They rather looked at if it is pretty clear the tax situation in a jurisdiction. And they compared a lot of jurisdictions, and Liechtenstein, they ended up with being the most clear tax jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. That's your experience as well, right? I mean, we do have for sure every now and then something new pops up, whatever, DeFi, NFTs, but it's pretty clear what does that mean from a tax perspective, and if not, what do you do if it's not clear, if it's not within the tax code?
Yeah, that's very interesting because I'm also a German tax advisor, and in Germany we have three thick books. It's 3,000 pages about tax laws, 3,000 pages about what the authority is thinking about taxes, 3,000 pages about what the courts
But you didn't read all of that?
We have for the exam, and then I come to Liechtenstein,
okay.
and we have only 160 paragraphs. And then when client comes with questions, you can't look and say, okay, in the 24 years, we have this case. You have really to think about. And that's a big advantage of Liechtenstein, because if something is unclear, you can talk with the authority. You can find solutions together. And for me, as an advisor, and also for my German client, it was really surprising, because normally, if a German client comes to the tax authority, they ask in the beginning the advisor, what can we tell the authority? Mm-hmm. Is it okay if we say that's the case A or B, because they are our enemies? And in Liechtenstein, it's the opposite. In Liechtenstein, you go to the tax authority, you say, that's the plan, what can we do? And the tax authority also comes and say, maybe consider this, it could be a better solution for you. So you find solutions together that don't need or mean that there is some hidden agendas. No, it's to find together solutions what help each other.
And I think that's crucial in an area where not everything is clear. And as we already said, it's changing. Like every day something new pops up and you have to find solutions. And I think with that basic concept, substance over form, which I learned is not only in the supervisory world, the way how Liechtenstein is actually approaching these things, it's also in the tax area. And that's I think that makes actually a lot of sense. I mean, and to have that in that way.
And also the mentality of the authorities, because in Liechtenstein and Switzerland, if you do as a private person a mistake in your tax filing, yes, it's not good, but it only costs you money. If you do that thing in Austria or Germany, it's always tax fraud and you have to face prison if you have higher numbers. So it's a totally different approach, because in Switzerland, Liechtenstein, you say, okay, you do a mistake, don't do it again. Here you have to pay a fee. In Germany and Austria, if you do something wrong, you can look higher prison times than fraud or even big mistakes.
So people are afraid, which brings us to the same question again. I think we are asked quite a lot of times, what are the consequences or what are our options? And you said that it's possible here in Liechtenstein to talk to the authority, to the tax authority, and to discuss potential ways how to organize your business and your products and services. And our clients ask for legal certainty. And that's actually one of the big advantages. We are actually told by our clients that they say, we chose Liechtenstein because we know what we have to do. It's a very clear regulatory regime. And with the enactment of the Liechtenstein Blockchain Act, the TVTG, which is in force since 1st of January 2020, you have a set of service providers which you can apply for. Then you are registered with our Financial Market Authority. And it's pretty clear which products and services are regulated and which are not regulated, right? And it seems like that your clients, they search for the same legal certainty. When I meet new people in that area, I don't know what the percentage really is, but I think it's less than 1% of them asking us, like in the first sentence, like what is the tax regime in Liechtenstein? How does it look like? How much taxes do I have to pay? It's actually not a topic at all, right? Yeah. We most of the time have to tell them and say, like, did you consider taxes, right? Because they come to Liechtenstein for the legal certainty they have, that they're able to build their business here. Sooner or later, and that's what we tell everybody, is for sure consider taxes in the beginning, because otherwise you will end up in a situation where you have surprises, which nobody wants, right? But if they ask you from day one, and we do that together and collaborate and find solutions, we can avoid big surprises mostly. And this is something your clients are looking for as well, legal certainty.
Absolutely. And if you have clients from Europe, most cases they are really surprised how low the taxes are. And much more.
It's 12.5 profit
12.5
tax.
Corporate tax, yes.
It's so good that you are here. Now can I say, normally I always say, I have no clue about taxes, you have to ask your tax lawyer. So here is a tax lawyer, it's 12.5% on profits. So.
Yes, and the next point is the administrative burden. That's even more important for them than the still number. Because what we see also in the OECD development, 12.5 or 15% minimum taxation, I think in the end of the day, it's not relevant for Liechtenstein, because it's much more relevant for the people. Okay, what do I have to do? How do I do it right? And what are the consequences? And it's not depending 2.5% more or less.
So, and what I learned is, we already talked a little bit about the profit tax, 12.5%, but it is different how individuals have to declare taxes, right?
Yes, it's much easier than in other countries, because in Liechtenstein, we only have to declare the wealth and not the current income. That means even if I do topics like DeFi, staking, liquidity pools, I only have to declare what I have on wealth in the beginning of the tax period, and all the income stream during the year I don't have to declare. And that makes things much easier, because also it's not so much about the tax rate, it's about the administrative burden. I have clients who come, how do I have to do it? If I have staking every 17 seconds, how do I have to declare it, and how can I document it to the authorities? With Liechtenstein, I don't have the pressure. Only beginning of my wealth of the year, and then I'm totally fine.
I mean, it's not easy for everybody to actually get residence permission in Liechtenstein. We do have actually a video about that, a YouTube video about that, and we will link that into the description of this video.
And that's a reason for me to say thank you, because of your call in summer 17, I had the possibility to work in this area, and also 1 year later, I have the possibility to live with my family in Liechtenstein. Because before of that, I lived in Switzerland, and now my children have the possibility to go in Liechtenstein to school and to live here. So thank you very much for that.
No, I think for sure I tried my best, but on the other hand, I mean, you really bring value to the country. That's no question about that. And in the end, I think you do a lot for the blockchain industry here, because as you said, it's good that we are able to provide legal certainty and to provide these answers, but we need advisors who understand what they do, right? It's a topic where you don't do one course, as you said. You will read one book. Is it 300 pages or 3,000? Doesn't matter. And then you can advise on taxes the next 5 years. No, I mean, in the blockchain space, you start and maybe tomorrow everything changed, right? So it's an industry where you have to be open-minded and very fast-paced. Our clients are very fast-paced, and every day they have new ideas, which actually also, I think, makes us approaching things differently, and they challenge us as advisors. And in the end, you were able to not only do tax advice. I mean, I learned that you also have software developers in your company. But what does a tax advisory firm with software developers?
First of all, first is to solve better tax solutions, but also, yes, the clients are very challenging. It's a very fast growing and fast changing topic, but it's also opportunity for us to get new team members, because a lot of people, also the young people, find taxes really boring. I know that's surprising, that taxes seems to somebody boring, but with us they say, okay, taxes not so much interesting, but the whole technology with blockchain, DLT, they find so fascinating that they say, okay, we go to a tax firm. And for us, that was a big opportunity to get people, openly speaking, because without that, our best people we wouldn't approach and we wouldn't get, because they say, I would never work in a tax firm. That's what they told me. But with these topics and with these clients, we find it very interesting. So, and also from the IT side, because a normal IT person, a normal software developer wouldn't go to a tax firm because they say, why should I? Because I have good opportunities. And say, yes, I go there because you work in this field. And we need these software developers, first of all, to understand the technology, but also to provide solutions to make the declaration right for the corporations, but also for the private people. Because how do I get the data from staking pools? How do I get the data from liquidity pools? Because I don't get confirmation from a bank like I know in the old world. So I have to get the data directly, I have to write documentation, and then I have to provide this information in a form that also the tax authority understands it.
So they help you, first of all, they educate your tax advisors from a technological point of view. And on the other hand, they develop and implement solutions how to actually get the data needed to provide you with your tax advisory for your clients.
Yes, in the first step, they make us able that we can provide the tax and accounting services for our client. And the next side, we see, okay, there is no solution on the market. So that's the reason why we say, okay, it works for us. Why shouldn't we provide the solution for others?
And you started 2016, right?
Yes.
Actus AG, and now you grew up to a team of 26.
Yes.
Is most of your work blockchain related, or what's the percentage of blockchain
I
work
think nearly 50% is blockchain related or in this new technology related, yes.
And this means that 50% is tax declarations for blockchain companies, or is it that you also, or is it more individuals, or is it more companies, or?
The funny thing is it changed. In the start, it was mostly corporations, so that companies like companies who make an ICO, STO in Liechtenstein, who has an exchange, for example. But now more and more people from the individual level came who say, okay, in the last year I made a lot of money. I met clients who say, I started with 1 million. After 1 year, I have 150 million. And now they try to declare it. Because what's for me very surprising, these clients are most successful who don't look beforehand of taxes or legal. They just start, they just do. And then afterwards they say, okay, now I have enough money. Please clean the mess up. Please, now I want to declare everything correctly because I don't want to go in prison. I want to have fun with my money.
Okay. And the demand is quite a different one from individuals and companies. And you briefly mentioned exchanges, right? I mean, I can imagine if you pay 12.5% on profits, that might be a very challenging tax declaration then, or is it pretty simple?
It is very challenging, and the challenging side are two different. First is grab the data, and that's in most cases the most difficult one, to get the correct data to make the declaration right. So when do you have the income? For example, with the liquidity pool, is it when the income is in the liquidity pool, or when you can say, I want to withdraw the money? Because it's very important from a tax perspective. So getting the data is one part of the work. And the next one is, how do I declare it? Because, for example, in Germany, it's very unclear with staking. Is staking capital income, or is it taxed with a normal tax rate? In Liechtenstein, it's very easy. No taxation at all on the individual level. So that's the reason why you should go to Liechtenstein if you are in crypto. But in countries like Austria or Germany, it's totally unclear. And we don't have any decision at the moment from the official side.
Okay, and in Liechtenstein, it's pretty clear what to do.
Yeah, in Liechtenstein, it's pretty clear. Everything what you do as a private person, it's clear because only the wealth. Everything what you do on a corporate level, that's also a big advantage of the community. You can't talk directly with the auditor. You can talk directly with the legal advisors. You can talk directly with the tax authority and then find together a solution. Say, okay, we think it's A, what do you think? And then they say, yes, I agree. Or they say, no, it's B. And if we say, okay, yes, it can also be B, then we do it like that. So it's not the problem that you say, okay, you do something wrong and now you have to go to prison, for example.
Okay. And you also accept cryptocurrencies for payments, right?
Yes, that's right.
So your clients pay. Is it common? Like, do a lot of your clients use that service, or?
Yes, more and more, openly speaking, what we saw, because in the beginning, not so much clients are doing it, but we have from a corporate level, but most likely from an individual level who wants to pay, and they say that's a good service for them, because the biggest problem what most of the clients have, mainly from an individual level, is changing their crypto into fiat with banks. Because most banks are very critical with crypto. With corporations, it's easier to declare because it's a corporation. I have bookkeeping, I have financial statements. If I'm in a jurisdiction who is recommended, like Liechtenstein, if I'm a shady one, then it's also not possible. But as an individual, how do I show that I declare my crypto right? Because as a German, you don't have to declare your wealth. And that's a big problem for them because they can't change it into fiat. And therefore, they're very happy if they can pay us in the start with crypto. Then we do all their documentation, their compliance stuff for the banks from a tax perspective. And then they are able to change it.
Okay. And now you're a tax expert in the blockchain space. And you're able to advise in Liechtenstein, in Germany. In your firm, you have tax advisors for Austria,
Switzerland and Austria.
Switzerland and Austria. What is the most common question you get when it comes to crypto, blockchain, and taxes?
Do I really have to declare it? That's most of them. They are from the old world because they say the tax authority is not possible to get the data, and therefore, why should I declare it? Just can I do it this way? And then I say, yes, maybe today it's not possible for the tax authority, but you have to think tax authorities have a very long period how they can change your tax declaration and how they can prove it. For example, in Germany, it's up to 20 years. And if you look back 20 years, you don't even have to declare your bank account because there was no exchange of information between cross borders. Now it is possible. And therefore, yes, it's right. Maybe today they can't check it, but in 10 or 12 years they can. And therefore, you should declare it.
Okay. And you briefly mentioned that you're advising in these jurisdictions, Germany, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, and Austria. And you did a review or an overview of these jurisdictions. And there you can find information like how is blockchain-related stuff taxed in these jurisdictions. We'll post a link there as well. Because I found it very helpful to just have an overview of how the situation is in these countries which are actually surrounding Liechtenstein. And last but not least, my favorite question, or one of my favorite questions, is what is your favorite coffee?
As I drink here, it's an espresso because it's hot and fast, like the cases with you, because it's always challenging and normally you don't have much time because In the most cases, I just get a phone call from you. The client is here in 5 minutes. Can you come? And so I don't have time for more than an espresso.
Sometimes I serve you sweet ones, and so sometimes I also serve you bitter ones.
Also from the clients or coffee?
Both. Thank you very much, Matthias, for being here and for all of your insights. I think it's really helpful to have a little bit of an overview of the tax situation. And I'm looking forward for our next talk, hopefully soon, when we get an update from a tax perspective. Thank you very much for joining us.